We're breaking down our biggest takeaways from the quarterbacks in week 1 of the preseason today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making Locked On NFL Scouting your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much.
Joe, I trust you know where my random cold open is going.
Oh boy, I don't.
Happy National Puka Nacua scores a touchdown day.
You know what? I'm watching the Stetson Bennett, and I thought to myself, I'm going to make a comment about Puka Nacua. He got a touchdown, a couple others as well, and then you beat me right to the punch.
Yeah.
We planned out the entire show. We're supposed to talk about Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young to start, and Kyle said, you know what? Puka Nacua, I'm sliding it in there.
Scored a touchdown.
What's the bet? That he's the wide receiver 2 for the Rams?
Yes, that's the bet. Wide receiver 2.
Look at you falling right into the don't overreact to preseason. You know what I mean?
You always know any preseason action that affirms your priors, you get to stand on top of the table and scream from the mountaintops. That's the way it goes. That's the way the cookie crumbles. And all I'm saying is Puka Nacua has played in one career NFL game, and he averages 1 touchdown per game. On pace for the greatest touchdown score in the history of the NFL.
The Puka Nacua people, the Deuce Vaughn people, the Tank Dell people, they're all having a parade together right now.
The Justin Fields people?
Yeah. What an interesting situation there, because statistically unbelievable, but like negative air yards, which
do we want to tuck him into others? I mean, he wasn't a name that originally came up, but like, do we want to see if we have time to get to
sure,
Justin
if we get time to talk about his behind the line of scrimmage? Yeah. I love Justin Fields. It's just not, I'm not clinging to that as my big, it's all coming together, baby. It's nice to know that he's got some players that can make plays around him. So it's good.
It's nice to see he's got some players that can make plays around him. Although you do wish he had a player like Puka Nacua.
You know, every quarterback does. Every
quarterback needs a Puka Nacua.
And if the Rams get like 40 other players to go like Puka Nacua,
with Puka Nacua,
yeah, they had a chance this year. So
anyway, we're planning on talking about the young quarterback performances throughout the course of the preseason. There was a lot of young quarterback play, a lot of interesting performances for better or for worse. So where do you want to start? You want to start with the number 1 overall pick? Want to do the Bryce Young thing? Get that one done?
Yeah.
I guess the right-hand third here does say young quarterback preseason play.
Wow.
I didn't do that.
Incredible. And what I like about this conversation is we have the CJ Stroud performance to kind of like be mindful of as we consider the rest of these rookie quarterbacks. But I mean, Bryce Young, he was in there for a few series. The offensive line was pretty bad. But I think my prevailing thought with Bryce Young was just how quickly he got the ball out of his hands. I think it was like 2.11 seconds average time to throw. I mean, I thought his eyes were in the right spots and he got the ball out quick, which one of my biggest concerns about Bryce Young was this combination of small and slow triggered, right? I mean, in Alabama, holding the ball for over 3 seconds per throw, you could see that he's already recalibrating a little bit and trying to get that ball out quick. And obviously, I mean, it's a very small bite-sized sample of him, but I think that was probably the most encouraging component of what I saw from Bryce Young.
You mean we shouldn't change our perceptions on 6 pass attempts in week 1 of the preseason?
No.
It is that number is 2.11, by the way, average time to throw for Bryce. I thought he shined in pre-snap. I don't know about you, but the kind of that process of getting up to the line of scrimmage and seeing what the picture is that the defense gives you and eliminating certain routes based off of your coverage shell and like allowing him to work through all of your possible combinations to allow him to get the ball out in 2.11 seconds. I think that's the thing that you hear so many people talk about Bryce Young and the intelligence that he has. And I think that area of his game is something that leaning into that is going to be a strength for Carolina and is really something that externally, those of us who evaluate on the exterior are always going to have a hard time properly gauging with prospects because we don't sit down and do like the chalkboards and the interviews and all that kind of stuff. But like usually when that kind of buzz and fanfare is there, you're kind of seeing why, right? As compared to, you think about the other highly drafted Alabama quarterbacks as a great contrast of guys who in Jalen Hurts needed to go play with Lincoln Riley to kind of evolve his passing skills. And Tua Tagovailoa is a little bit more RPO heavy, and he's had to work on building up his pre-snap diagnosis skills. Well, and then Mac has that fanfare, but he's nowhere near the athlete or the quick trigger that Bryce Young is. And now you have Bryce Young, who, for all of the enthusiasm that I have, I still think it's worth just saying he got rocked a couple of times. Like big hits, light of throwing the ball out in 2.11 seconds. So that's just, I think if you're going to put a black cloud over the silver lining that we've been talking about, that's where I'm most apprehensive about what we saw in the first preseason game for Bryce.
Interesting contrast, right? 2.11 seconds for Bryce Young. We talk about the CJ Stroud line, right? Because he just happened to be first. You know, his average time to throw was in his debut?
I bet it was long.
3.84.
3.8.
Yeah, we can't. That's, I mean, it's seven dropbacks. That's not a world anybody can live in.
No, you will not survive in the NFL with that speed.
But study the stats, right? To quote the great Doug Whaley, study the stats. And I think it's pretty clear the pre-snap, the processing really favored what Bryce Young was able to demonstrate. Kyle, I guess this might be a hot take, maybe not. The best first-round rookie quarterback that I watched was Anthony Richardson from the Colts, making his debut against the Bills, going up against the Bills starters for at least two series. I know he played a little bit further into the game. But I mean, Anthony Richardson, he airmailed an interception. There's no question. He didn't have himself set. He just kind of lobbed one out there, was picked off by Dane Jackson. But I thought he was able to find some level of rhythm. And for Richardson, it's important. Like, he started 13 games in college, right? And we've kind of felt like the curve was the steepest for him. But for him to come in on the road in Buffalo against starters to find some level of rhythm, I thought was impressive. You saw him use his athleticism a little bit, and his best throw was dropped. Alec Pierce, it was a beautiful corner throw, and it was tight coverage by Saron Neal, but a better throw that put it perfectly for Alec Pierce, and it went right through his hands. It might have been a touchdown pass, and so like his best throw was dropped. So I thought you saw the best combination of like the physical traits showing up, but also a guy that you had some big questions about showing himself to have some comfort and have some rhythm about him despite, an egregious interception.
Yeah. I think the upside sell there with Richardson is obvious. And if he's going to have any level of consistency with kind of the operations elements of NFL play, I think it's the potential goes through the roof. Right. And I think this is a nice first step for Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. I think, like I said, to me, maybe some of the other non-first round quarterbacks you can make a case for, but I thought of Stroud, Richardson, and Young. And folks, get used to it. We're going to mention those three together for a long time. That's just the world we live in the NFL. They will be tied at the hip. Round one, for whatever it means in the preseason, to me goes to Anthony Richardson. Folks, August is here. You know what that means. The official start of fantasy football drafting month. So get championship ready for your home league by trying out Best Ball on Underdog Fantasy. Underdog, it is the easiest place to play fantasy football, and it's the best place for Best Ball. I love Best Ball. Here's what you do. You do one live snake draft. Then there's no waivers, there's no trades, and Underdog sets your best lineup every single week. And you could try it out now with Underdog's Best Ball Mania tournament, which is the largest fantasy football contest of all time. It's back and even bigger with $15 million of total prizes up for grabs, including an absurd $3 million going to the winner. Last year, folks, that winner drafted their team in July, so there's no reason for you to wait around. Check it out. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. Sign up with our promo code Locked On. If you do that, you'll get your first deposit doubled up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Check them out in the App Store. Use that promo code Locked On to double your first deposit up to $100.
So we did the 2023 quarterbacks. 2022 quarterbacks had a number of guys that went. The two guys that are penciled into starting jobs are Kenny Pickett and Sam Howell, I think, who is a fascinating case study and is going to continue to be a fascinating case study. Sam Howell is. Do you want to start with Kenny dropping that dime on that bang route to George Pickens to thread it, and Pickens doing the rest of the work? Do you want to start with Howell?
Let's start there, because that's all I saw from that game.
Okay.
So, but that throw, really good finish by George Pickens. I felt like George Pickens didn't have a lot of juice though after he caught that ball. I was a little surprised, man.
Were we expecting George to have a lot of juice?
I was hoping so.
Or it's just the urban legend of George Pickens with all of the training camp videos and highlight reel catches skewing your expectations.
The George Pickens we got to have a George Pickens conversation at some point, because the catches are spectacular. The hands, the body control are spectacular. But is this guy going to be a consistent separator? Is he going to really warrant a lot of volume? Just, I don't know, man.
Especially
makes me nervous.
Especially in a Pittsburgh offense that with Matt Canada is not necessarily on the cutting edge of how NFL passing offenses work, right?
Sure.
Kenny had a couple other nice plays in this game. He had one. It was a third down conversion, inside move by the left end coming and folding inside of the right tackle. And Kenny seamlessly feels that, works off of his spot, puts a nice throw right on the sidelines to convert on third down after it was the third play of the possession for Kenny Pickett. And then I thought that touchdown pass, I thought, was a really nice job of Kenny by using his eyes. So he takes his drop, right? I thought this was the high level play from Kenny Pickett, was the touchdown pass to Pickens, because his eyes are left, but as he gets to the top of his drop, he's aligned to throw right. So like that entire way, he's using that. What Madden was that with the vision cone?
I hated it though.
I like the vision cone.
Oh,
because you always just held the right trigger down, and then all you had to do was double tap the button you wanted to throw to. And it would, the first time you hit it, would flip it to your receiver, and then you could just immediately throw it. So I didn't use the vision. I didn't use like the right stick to try to like move my vision cone. I'm just like, it's going to go wherever it's going to go, and I'm going to read the whole field and then just hold the right trigger down and then hit my button twice, and I'll throw it to him.
I have a sidebar, if that's okay.
Okay.
Because you brought up Madden.
Yep.
And I've wrestled with, like, is this the year?
Doing it?
Yeah, is this the year? Josh Allen's on the cover. I mean,
you probably should, because Josh Allen's on the cover.
But then the whole thing is like, okay, do I get a game box, and do I now incorporate into my life playing Madden or playing video games? And I've made a decision. Not doing it.
Oh, you're not doing it?
No, I'm not doing it. And I'll tell you what, you know what's funny about it is, if you look behind me, you would see the PlayStation 3. It doesn't even have a cord.
The game box.
The game box behind me. There's a stack of books under it that I would like to read. It's growing. It's a growing. And so what am I going to do? I'm not reading as much as I'd like to. And I'm going to incorporate playing these video games into my schedule. I'd like to stretch more. You know what I mean? I'd like to do more organizational things around the house.
While you play Madden.
Can you?
Sure. Sit on the floor. Do some butterfly stretches.
Put some dumbbells on my knees and really get that groin stretched out. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm out. So there it is. There's the official.
We'll see if we can revisit and peer pressure you. That throw from Kenny Pickett, the fact that his eyes worked left and he created the throwing window to throw that ball. He moved that linebacker that was in the intermediate area of the field and then gets to the top of his drop and he's lined up to throw and he puts that thing right on the money and puts that as a heater. I thought that was the most impressive part of the touchdown pass for Kenny Pickett. So while George Pickens did a lot of the work after the catch, I think Kenny created the optimal throw and the crease for George to hit to score on the play.
Things are encouraging with Kenny Pickett, I think, collectively, right? Like just the way he finished last year, showing up strong. You probably feel good if you're a Steelers fan that you feel like you got your quarterback. Sure. It's a good thing. How about Sam Howell with Washington? Started off a little bit rough. Offensive line did not help him at all to start the game.
Get used to it.
Right. So the line was Leno at left tackle, Chris Ball at left guard, Nick Gates at center, Sam Cosmi at right guard, and Andrew Wiley at right tackle. That's their guys, right?
That's your starting guys.
Yeah. So they blocked for Sam Howell. And I thought the offensive line was extremely rough to start the game. And then was a third series, things got cooking a little bit more. Was it the touchdown to Dotson as well? Saw some mobility, some rollouts from Sam.
Not a good throw.
Good play by John, but
yeah.
I think it was like, okay. You know, I think my biggest concern with Sam Howell is I love the receivers, but is this offensive line going to give him his best opportunity in a really unique opportunity that he has? Like, the thing with Sam Howell is the investment's not very big, so the leash is pretty short, right?
Right.
And it's just it's a tough ask for him to step in here and play his best football and do so to like convince that he's the answer for them. Because they got, not only is it like a long-term question, but it's a short-term question because Jacoby Brissett's waiting in the wings for the first time that he needs to go in.
And no pressure, Sam Howell, but like there's a lot of people whose jobs with this organization are riding on how this season plays. And Sam's the number one variable of that. It's a very unenviable position for a fifth-round quarterback to be walking into, but I think you saw all the things that make Sam exciting. I think you saw some arm talent. I think you saw some mobility. I think you saw an ability to create outside of structure a little bit. It's just the sustainability and the variability of that week to week is going to be the hard part, I think, for Washington to have them have the kind of season that's going to warrant not making sweeping changes throughout the organization with new ownership now coming in.
Yeah, it's an eval year, right?
Yep.
It's
for everybody.
That's tough. Is there anything else we want to get here in these 2022 quarterbacks?
It's like Bailey Zappi.
We saw that on Thursday.
Malik Willis.
He was okay.
He was okay.
Better than Will Levis was for sure. I assume they're going to roster 3 of them, surely, right?
Yeah, I mean, Malik was a 3 and Will was a 2 that they traded up for.
Yeah, they're going to stick around.
3. And they should. They should.
Matt Corral got some run after he missed all of last year, right? He foot injury, right? Was it Liz Frank, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah.
I don't know that he played particularly well. We saw Skylar Thompson play.
I know who didn't play particularly well, and it was Skylar Thompson. Almost won in Buffalo in the wild card round, though.
Right. I think if a different quarterback was in there, they might have won the game.
All right. Let's go.
All right. Football season, it's about to kick off, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to win all season long because right now, when you bet on a Super Bowl winner, you can get bonus bets every time they win in the regular season. So just pick any team to win the Super Bowl, and you'll get bonus bets for every victory. So if you want to go to FanDuel and pick the Miami Dolphins to win the Super Bowl, every time they win a regular season game, you get bonus bets, and you can use your bonus bets on spreads, player props. I love the player props. I used to get in on this all the time with like receptions, the little slot receivers, 3.5. Give me the over every time on that. So check them out. They got over-unders. They got a lot more than that. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and start earning bonus bets with America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon.
I'm doing something. So go ahead and invoke whatever of the others. It could be prior to 2022 and 2023 first round. It could be 2023 guys who were not first round quarterbacks, but I'm doing something. And not like that skit where the guy goes back around and starts the pay for the person behind you change. Have you seen that skit? The 55 burgers, 55 fries, 55.
I've not seen the skit, but I'm familiar with the practice. And has this ever happened to you? Have you ever been in at a drive-through and somebody pays for yours?
I have not.
Oh my! It's happened to me like
ultimate roulette,
dude. It's happened to me multiple times, and I'm always stuck on whether or not you're supposed to keep it going,
right? You do it
usually. What if everyone's just paying for everyone's meal? Like, what are we doing?
Okay, I'm done doing the thing that I was going to do. I wanted to know what FanDuel's odds were for DeMar Hamlin to win Comeback Player of the Year.
Oh, it's got to be 10,000. It's
minus 350. Still might be worth putting $20.
If he he's going to make the team.
The first time he takes one regular season snap, he's going to win the award.
Right. He played in the preseason game.
He should be. He should win the award.
It's an unprecedented thing to come back from, dying on the field. Yes, I would say very much worthy of comeback player. It's kind of cool. His next game's Saturday in Pittsburgh, so it's hometown for him.
Oh, that's he played at Pitt. That's cool.
Got the first one in Buffalo, second one in Pittsburgh. So it's an incredible story. All rooting for DeMar. They blitzed him, Kyle. They blitzed DeMar in the game.
So we're gonna give you a chance. Go make a play.
Said he was ready to go, man. Sean's been saying, "Wait, we're gonna follow your cadence." So all right. Jordan Love, I think that's where I'd like to start, right? That's a big quarterback in a big situation here. And I was encouraged with what he showcased out there. 7 of 10, had the touchdown connection and looked confident. I thought Jordan Love's looked good in the preseason and years past though, too.
He had one bad throw. That over route that he missed was a bad miss.
Touchdown pass was a nice touch.
Nice touch. Dropped it straight out of the helicopter, right? Was that JT says that? JT O'Sullivan says that? Dropped that thing right out of a helicopter. Just straight down.
Can't relate to doing it, but it sounds cool.
Right. Throwing on the move. He ripped that. Is it Dubs or Dobbs?
You're getting arrested no matter what.
He ripped that crossing route on that naked rollout to his left to number 87. And he put some big time heat on that.
I was mid-sip. You can't do that when I'm mid-sip.
He put some heat on that ball. And it was right on the money. And I think they only put 3 guys out on the routes on that play. So it's like from a spacing perspective, there was a hole in zone coverage for him to thread the ball, and he did so very well. I thought he threw well on the move. I agree with you. I thought he looked really good, but just the crosser was a bummer of a miss because it would have been a big hit.
I think that's okay, though. Sean Clifford came in and he had a pulse. Well, that was a little surprising to me.
Apparently, he's looked good in training camp.
Joke's on us. Penn State was obviously just limiting him. Clearly.
Is that the thing? Is this going to be the next guy that was just like, and then Aiden O'Connell too at Purdue and played lights out for the Raiders yesterday?
It's kind of like Tennessee for a while there. They weren't developing any of their talent. They were getting talented players. And then you see guys that were like marginal players at Tennessee being good NFL players like Emmanuel Mosley, Kyle Phillips, Shai Tuttle, like all these guys just never developed under Butch Davis or whatever coaches they wound up having there for
being
a
12-year starter at Penn State, never developing at all, and then going to
right. I feel like he had his time. Who's that guy that's coming in that's got all the arm talent in the world?
Oh yeah, I couldn't tell you his name off the top of my head, but Penn State's excited.
Transfer. Get out of there.
They can make some noise.
Yeah.
I thought Dorian Thompson-Robinson's had a heck of a stretch to start in the preseason. They obviously played in the preseason Hall of Fame game to open the preseason. He was 9 of 10 yesterday. or this past weekend did some really nice things from a reads and patience in the pocket perspective, I thought. Letting plays play out. Obviously, the athleticism there is through the roof with what he's capable of doing. And DTR is going to mess around and be the backup quarterback in Cleveland.
That was my question for you, because you got Watson, you've got DTR, you've got Kellen Mond, you've got Josh Dobbs.
Mond?
Yeah. Texas A&M, future starter for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I look, I think those other two guys, Mond's still a younger guy, right? But has not looked good. And then Josh Dobbs, like, we know who Josh Dobbs is at this point, right?
I think so.
DTR, I think, is a younger player, obviously an experienced player playing at UCLA as a starting quarterback. A little bit of a different offense that's probably going to be a little bit more friendly to him versus the chip offense was in college. Better receivers to throw to. When's the last UCLA wide receiver that came through that was like a good player? That wasn't a slot player like Kyle Phillips.
Well, I mean, do we know enough about Kyle Phillips to label him
No, but I'm sure there's going to be some either UCLA fan or some Tennessee Titans fan that's going to listen and be like, "Oh, the Kyle Phillips."
Let's do the thing.
We're going to do the thing. Okay.
I got the last drafted receiver from UCLA is Kyle Phillips. Jordan Lasley in 2018 was the one before that. You might be onto something here. Jordan Payton 2016, Devin Fuller 2016.
I remember Devin Fuller.
Shaq Evans 2014.
Jack Evans.
I remember that scouting report. Terrence Austin. Yeah. Matthew Slater. There it is. That's the guy. 2000.
He's not a good wide receiver. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Tab Perry, Craig Bragg, Freddie Mitchell, first rounder. Yeah, boy.
2001.
Danny Farmer, JJ Stokes. There it is. 95. Stokes. We found the guy, JJ Stokes.
And then you keep going. It's Sean Lapel, Scott Miller in 1991.
Okay. UCLA is not wide receiver U. We got
Flipper Anderson.
Hey, there you go. There's a
Paco
name.
Craig in 1988 in the 10th round. Mike Sherrard, Young.
The Mount Rushmore of UCLA receivers is very clearly JJ Stokes, Flipper Anderson,
Ricky
Matthew
Kaufman,
Slater by default,
Homer Butler.
I have to admit something. I had no idea Matthew Slater went to UCLA until this moment.
Norm Anderson. This is incredible. I'm in 1968, and I still don't have a wide receiver that I know who they are.
Come on. You knew Stokes and you knew Flipper Anderson, right. And you knew
beyond the ones that either JJ Stokes, Freddie Mitchell, that were like starting wide receivers when we were growing up, or the guys that I actually did an eval on. So you get past JJ Stokes, and it's like, I don't know who any of these dudes are.
I think your point is well taken that UCLA has not been a wide receiver factory.
Free DTR. Now he's got some guys to throw to. He's going to be the backup quarterback. He will be the backup quarterback.
Should be.
I don't know. We don't have to talk about Justin Fields.
No, it's Stetson Bennett. I mean, I watched it. There's points in times where he was back there just kind of dealing. But man, he put the ball in harm's way like 3 different times as well. So I'm not ready to like crown him yet.
Can I interject there to just kind of prove your point?
Sure.
Take the statistic for whatever you will. There is one quarterback through all the games in the preseason thus far that has 3 turnover-worthy throws, and it's Stetson Bennett.
He's the only one?
Only one.
He threw the ball a ton, though. He had like 30 passing attempts, right?
He had 29.
Okay.
The only quarterbacks with more, Kellen Mond, is 31.
But that might be 2 games combined for Mond, right?
It is. And then Will Grier had 31 pass attempts.
Will Grier. He's on the Cowboys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now he has 2 turnover-worthy plays.
Makes sense. That's on board.
So There you go. That's a lot of young quarterbacks played. A lot of exciting storylines for the preseason playing themselves out for us. We gave you some deep dive on certain performances. We gave you some big picture conversations. We figured out UCLA's wide receiver heritage is not where you want to be in the pantheon of NFL draft, NFL, and college football. And we are out of here. And we'll be back again tomorrow. So we hope you plan accordingly. Make us a part of your day. We appreciate our everydayers who do keep it locked in with us on a daily basis here on the Locked On Network. I'm Kyle Crabbs. He is Joe Marino. You can find our shows on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Make it a good one. We'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.